My name is
Yeah. What the fuck do you guys know about cringe? You fucking posers. So I posted a podcast episode last March titled "Your Aversion to Cringe is Making You Uninteresting." And this is really a take of mine that has only continued to solidify itself over the last year of my life. I've talked quite a bit over on my podcast and over on the Patreon recently about feeling really connected to my younger self, sort of finding my way back to this 13-year-old, 14-year-old version of myself and feeling really inspired by that person. And really one of the main reasons why I felt so inspired by my younger self is how blissfully unconcerned I was with other people's opinions. I had embraced cringe in a way previously unknown, really. I grew up making videos that looked like this.
So before I even start this video, I just want to thank you for 1,000 subscribers. Holy whoa.
Tonight you won't be by yourself. I know you want me. Sir, there's a bug on your shoulder. I'll have you begging on your knees for me.
Posted those babies raw for all my classmates to see, okay? So there should be no question on what my personal stance is when it comes to cringe. So though I don't feel like I've ever lost this part of myself, I do feel like I've grown farther away from her as I was moving through college. And now as I'm entering my late 20s, I feel more connected to this version of myself than I ever had in my whole entire life. When I was a kid, being cringe was the thing that freed me. It is the reason why I have this job right fucking now. My old YouTube videos are full of cringe because I was so painfully authentic and earnest to a point that sometimes it is uncomfortable to watch.
This is what I love to do, and this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
I took myself so seriously. I loved this thing and I wanted the whole world to know it. But sometimes I'll go back and I'll watch old YouTube videos of myself and my stomach will literally churn. Not because I'm embarrassed, but because it is so earnest. It is so truthful. It is so vulnerable. And I didn't even realize at the time how truly courageous I was being by being myself in that way. And you know, I think a lot of the aversion to cringe just stems from fear and shame, which shame we know can be so wide-reaching and really shows up in so many different ways. Like, I remember being in my sex ed class in high school and feeling like it was the most humiliating thing to get up in front of the class and do a presentation on the Nuva ring. And it was a real shame that I found it so humiliating at the time because birth control was actually something I was really interested in. I actually really enjoyed my sex ed class in high school, as non-specific and detailed as it was, because I think sexual health has always been an interest of mine, but it was one that I felt shame in really indulging in. Because teenage boys kill the fun of everything. But I was passionate about sex ed then the same way I'm still passionate about sex ed now. But there was something about the environment and the peers I was surrounded with that made me feel like it was so cringe to take my interest in sexual health seriously and actually find enjoyment in this health class, which just makes me so grateful that platforms like Beducated exist now. This is a platform that I would have really loved when I was in high school, and it's a platform that I love now as a full adult. Beducated, if you've never heard of them, is an online course platform with audio, video, and written guides, all with the intention of enhancing your love and sex life. It's the sex ed that you always wanted and most likely never got. Even the sex ed that I did get in high school was not nearly as hyper-specific and current as the content over on Beducated is. Beducated is home to over 100 online courses all about sex and intimacy led by the world's top experts, ranging in topics from kink to self-pleasure with video tutorials, practical exercises, and most importantly, reliable information. So much of my intrigue with sex ed as a teenager came from this eagerness to learn more about myself. And also, this was a time where I was really starting to get interested in politics. And what is more political than a woman's body? And so I think at the time, more than anything, what I really wanted was to be able to have these open and honest conversations where I would have been allowed to ask questions and be curious about sex. And thank God platforms like Beducated make it so much easier to get access to reliable sex ed. And not just the basics, not just the stuff that they might have told you in school if you happened to have a non-abstinence only education system in your high school when it came to sex. Not only are they covering the basics, but they're covering all the questions that you would have secretly gone home and Googled trying to figure out the secret to the female orgasm and how to have the most mind-blowing one all on your own. And listen, it's the last day of March, but it is still March, which means we are still in Women's History Month. And according to Beducated's latest research, women who own their pleasure experience twice the sexual satisfaction of those who don't. So here's your opportunity to do a little something sweet for yourself this month. You can dive into hundreds of courses that'll help you enjoy sex more, discover new techniques, and build confidence in the bedroom. And when you use my discount Maddie, you get 60% off the yearly pass. And that's an additional 10% off the campaign's current discount. And the best part is that Beducated does offer a risk-free 14-day money-back guarantee. So if you're not totally satisfied with your purchase in the first 2 weeks, you can still get your money back. So again, that's code Maddie for 60% off the yearly pass over at Beducated. And thank you again to Beducated for sponsoring today's video. I think that being a Lady Gaga fan really prepared me for how to endure being the weird kid in any kind of group dynamic. Babe, I was fighting for my life in middle school, trying to explain to everyone all of Lady Gaga's creative decisions, why she wore the meat dress, why she's bleeding on stage at the VMAs, the sheer artistry and power behind the lyrics of Government Hooker. I fell in love with Gaga at a young age because of how painfully authentic she was and how much she rode for the weird kids, for the freaks, for the weird kids, for people who felt like they were an outcast, a misfit, didn't fit in. Lady Gaga was gonna give you a place where you could feel like the fucking cool kid. And I loved her for that. I felt understood by her music, by her presence, the way she was in interviews, her belief systems. Like, I just felt like I had a celebrity to look to and feel like, whoa, she fucking gets it. And I think she is the coolest person in the world. And she is doing incredible things, right? She's selling out tours all across the fucking world. So to see someone like that I thought was so cool, and she's having some level of mainstream success, despite the fact that so many people think that she is a fucking freak weirdo, and she publicly is making music for other freak weirdos, I'm like, this is awesome. This is cool. And anyone that doesn't think it's cool is literally just not with it. I felt like I knew a secret that other people just didn't. So I think that being a Lady Gaga fan paired with just sort of being a more eccentric, passionate theater kid in a hometown that was mostly fucking boring. No offense, everyone. Kind of. Those things paired together, I think, allowed me to really embrace myself, embrace how cringe I was from a young age, and be really unconcerned for a good while there of what other people thought of me. But, you know, it's easy to sit back and be like, this is actually cool. All of you guys are just fucking boring when you're in high school and surrounded by people that you don't really connect with, don't really resonate with. But then, you know, you leave your hometown, you go to college, you start meeting people that you think are really cool, that you really respect, and maybe even those people think you're a little weird. So maybe that's where my confidence started to grade away a little bit. But recently I felt like there was a real return to my younger self happening. And I think this is one part just because of the age that I'm at. 1 month into 28 and it's already feeling like a really gorgeous, beautiful, sexy, painfully earnest year. But I also think that the sort of state of the world and era of the internet that we are in is also really playing a role here. If you listen to my podcast, you know that I've never really shied away from my critique of short form content. I am admittedly not the biggest fan of short form content platforms, mainly talking about TikTok here. To give you a quick recap, I, like many other people, was really into TikTok for a period, was spending many of my hours of the day scrolling on the platform. About 2.5 years ago, I ended up deleting TikTok off my phone entirely, taking myself off the platform. And to be honest, I had such a wonderful time not being on that platform that I have just never really wanted to go back. Now I do have TikTok installed on my phone. I probably open it once or twice a month. So for all intents and purposes, I'm not on TikTok. And I think one of the main reasons why I have not been the biggest fan of short form, or why I have found myself getting more and more frustrated with it over time, is because short form by nature, you're working with less time. There is a lot less opportunity for nuance. Additionally, I think because of the way TikTok works, in that a lot of the content you're seeing is on your For You page, and that's not necessarily from people you follow, and you're not really opting in to any of the videos you're seeing. They're just auto playing as you scroll upon them. Naturally, there are a lot of people who will get on TikTok and just make rage bait and other kinds of inflammatory content because it will perform well in the algorithm. It gets people engaged. It gets a reaction out of people, regardless of if it is rooted in truth or helpful in any way. And obviously this is something that happens on all social media platforms, but I think that it really thrives on short form because of the lack of nuance. And I think over time, this sort of content really shifts the larger perception of a platform, the culture, what it feels like to be a part of the creator economy on these platforms. And I don't know how often you take a look through TikTok comment sections, but they're often not the most fun places to be. I found myself every single day opening up TikTok, watching these videos, opening up the comment section, and feeling a pit of dread in my stomach, even when it wasn't my content I was reading the comments for. Maybe I'm watching a video of someone getting dressed in the morning and putting on this really cool, funky outfit, and I'm loving this video. I think it's so cool. It's so fun. I open up the comment section to see all of these people belittling them for the way their hair looks, how weird the outfit is. And then I scroll and I happen upon another video of someone vulnerably talking about their experiences in dating. Open up the comment section of that, and it's a ton of people ripping on them, drawing all these assumptions about who they are as people or what they must be doing wrong, offering advice that was not asked for about people you do not know. And then you scroll again and see someone that maybe you do follow because you have a lot of the same morals and political opinions, and they're stitching the video of some alt-right red pill streamer who did something unbelievable that week, and you watch their whole video and you're like, God, this is crazy. Thank God this person is giving some insightful commentary on it. You open up the comment section and it's a whole bunch of people telling them to go kill themselves or worse. And I say this from the perspective of a consumer of this content and also a creator, but over time I found myself feeling more and more stressed out about being on the internet. Watching a video of someone being super fucking hateful, opening up the comment section, seeing a top comment of something even more hateful with like 30,000 likes. I don't know how that can't do something to your brain. And I think TikTok is really a platform that I found myself going on over and over again, feeling worse about myself every single time I left. And TikTok to me felt like the most stressful one of them all. Number one, because of the like potential for virality on TikTok is so much higher. And also because it's short form, it's less of a commitment from people. People are not concerned about understanding people and their perspectives when they're only willing to commit 15 seconds of their attention span to really hearing what they have to say. And I feel like being stuck in this infinite scroll between rage bait, opening up comment sections of the worst people you know, saying the most insane things you ever heard with 30,000 people thumbsing it up, people saying really reasonable, normal things on the internet, and somehow even them getting hate. Common example, but if somebody posts a recipe video and then someone's up in arms in the comments because it's not fucking gluten-free. This specific piece of content doesn't cater specifically to me, and I am very upset about this. You're talking about your own personal experience. It doesn't accurately mirror mine, and now I'm mad about this thing that you said that I've taken offense to because I've applied it to myself. I've forced my foot to fit in a shoe that clearly wasn't meant for me in the first place. What do you mean everything I consume on the internet isn't for/about me? And I think the reason why I eventually ended up leaving TikTok was because I started to notice how being in this kind of content loop was affecting my mental health. Specifically, how it was impacting my ability to show up as my authentic cringe self. I found myself feeling more nervous to be myself out of fear of being critiqued for parts of myself that I can't change. I was afraid of speaking candidly, reflecting about something in real time, a couple months passing, changing my mind, and having people hate me for changing my mind and having a different opinion. I was afraid of saying the wrong thing because I am an ever-changing person with an ever-changing perspective. And what if I say something today that I don't agree with 5 years from now? I was finding myself more afraid of being rejected. And also this fear of not being seen as a full, complex, nuanced person. If you're only willing to listen to me for 15 seconds, there's a lot more ways that you can misunderstand me, misinterpret me, hate me for things that you don't fully understand about me. Like so often when we're sitting at home with our friends, we go out to dinner with our friends, we can talk really raw and honestly and candidly about our lives and the things we're going through without fear of being nitpicked for every single thing we're saying. Or if we change our minds a week from now, our friend isn't going to look at us and be like, oh, so you're a liar? Because last week you said you were feeling this way, so how the fuck can I trust your opinion now, you fucking liar? The way that people treat each other online is often not at all how you would treat someone in real life. Over time, I could feel myself becoming more anxious, becoming more nervous about showing up as myself online. And I feel like I noticed it in other people too. Instead of showing up as their cringe, painfully authentic self, instead of coming online and sharing their perspectives and opinions and things about their life experience that are unique and maybe different than what other people are saying. You see people start to reject nuance and start to push themselves into a smaller and smaller box, void of any complication or uniqueness, because if I present to you this version of me that is so completely palatable, you will have nothing negative to say about me. This will generate no intense response in any way, shape, or form. I will get the attention and validation I am looking for without any of the complication that comes from being yourself and having an interesting perspective on the world. At the same time that all of this is happening, we're also seeing the rise in AI and how that is impacting content creation and the kind of voices we see online. There are a lot of people that are totally cool with using AI to generate a list of different popular video ideas, what could perform really well for you in the algorithm. I don't know why people would be okay with doing that, to be honest with you. So you have AI spit you out a list of possible video ideas that are totally optimized for that algorithm, because a lot of the internet is about perceived success and not about actual success. It's about vanity metrics, about subscribers, likes, views. It's all about how people see you, what your perceived impact is, and not the actual impact. How did people on an individual level resonate with what you made? Was it meaningful? Was it interesting? Was it creatively fulfilling for you? Did you have fun doing it? It becomes more about numbers, more about image, more about being this cool and unreachable person who is getting thousands, millions of views on everything they post. But what is actually there when you take away all of the flashy numbers that surround it? AI can't generate authenticity, and being truly authentic is cringe. I really just feel like over time, this beast of social media, in all the ways that it has transformed over the last 15 years of being a creator, I think especially over the last 5 years, it has been harder and harder for people to show up authentically without being absolutely fucking demolished for it. Meanwhile, we're seeing the rise of AI and all these fucking plugins that are void of authenticity by its very premise. And that's not even diving into the beast of anonymity on the internet and how bold people feel they can be when nobody knows who the fuck they are. Writing messages from fucking burner accounts because you're so afraid of being perceived as your authentic self. You're so afraid of being cringe. You become a hater towards anyone doing anything different. And so I will say again, your aversion to cringe is making you uninteresting. Whether you are a creative of some kind that has felt like it has become harder and harder to show up as your authentic self in your creations because you have a fear of someone misunderstanding you or making fun of you. You have a fear of changing your mind, of having an authentic human reaction to something in real time and having people perceive that. It's vulnerable to really show up as your present day self, understanding that you will not be the same person a week from now that you are today. It is vulnerable to be yourself. And to be yourself is inherently really fucking cringe. And it's fucking awesome. Your aversion to that, your aversion to that part of yourself is making it harder for you to be creative, for you to do the very thing that you love. And this is true for non-creatives as well. People who are specifically consumers of media. Your aversion to cringe is making you uninteresting. It's also making the media you consume uninteresting. You can't beg for entertainment and then the second someone that you're watching is not a perfect mirror for you and your life experience, you're like, you know what I need to do today? Take to this fucking comment section and bitch and moan about this person. Give them unsolicited advice and intentionally be fucking daft and butcher something they said in this video, twist it and interpret it into meaning something so much worse so that they will be afraid of ever having a real reflection online ever again. I'm cringe. Everyone that I respect as a creative is cringe. So I'm sure it isn't going to be shocking to you when I tell you that I think that in order to be a successful creative, in order to be good at what you do creatively, you have to be cringe. You have to. I remember someone asked me this once. They were like, do you think you're cringe? And I quickly, without hesitation, was like, yes. And they seemed shocked that I would admit that. They're like, really? You do? I'm like, yeah, I think we all are. I hope you don't take offense to that, but like, yes, I am cringe. And yes, I think you're cringe too. But I say that out of like a deep respect because you are a creative that I admire, that I think puts out something really fucking cool. So I need you to know that me calling you cringe actually is a deep fucking honor. I think you have to be in order to be truly good at what you do. Another aspect of cringe that I think we are lacking as a society or moving away from, where I think we should be running towards it so much more, was perfectly put on display this award season by none other than Timothée Chalamet. People got a little up in arms about an acceptance speech that Timmy gave. I believe it was at the SAG Awards when he won for his performance in A Complete Unknown. Timothy got on stage and was talking about how he really aspires to be one of the greats.
But the truth is, I'm really in pursuit of greatness. I know people don't usually talk like that, but I want to be one of the greats.
And when I personally saw this clip, I saw it and was like, God, that's fucking awesome. How fucking refreshing is it to see someone be so passionate and so ambitious unapologetically? So often we are told to sort of hide these things, suppress these things. Don't say these things out loud. Keep it to yourself. Be humble. You know, be modest about your ambitions and the things that you yearn for and long for with yourself. So often we're encouraged to mash ourselves into smaller and smaller boxes, pretend we long for less, because it's incredibly vulnerable to share something like he did on the stage that he did. Oh, but it's unbecoming to want things like that, to even acknowledge that you could be on a path to becoming that. You're brushed off as conceited and overconfident, up yourself, narcissistic, whatever the fuck it is. People are uncomfortable with that kind of passion, ambition, and self-belief. They're uncomfortable with someone acknowledging their strong suits, giving themselves a pat on the back while still acknowledging that they have so much more to go. Timmy in his speech accepted it and was like, you know, I aspire to be one of the greats. This award doesn't mean that I've done that, but it's a nice encouragement as I, go forth in this journey. I fucking loved it. I thought it was an awesome speech, and it was so real. It was so fucking real. Be like, this is this thing that I really want. I want to be seen as one of the greats. I give a fuck about this. And it's so vulnerable to share with people that you give a fuck, because you know that there are going to be people that the next time that Timothy is in a movie that fucking bombs are going to pull this speech back up and be like, oh, you want to be one of the greats, little Timmy boy? You better sit down, stay humble, because look at this trash movie that you were just in that bombed at the box office. Taking this moment of vulnerability, of true authenticity, and waiting for the moment that you can use that against someone and make them feel worse. Because God forbid your trajectory isn't a straight shot up. God fucking forbid. I think the most frustrating part about all of this is that the people that looked at Timothée Chalamet and made fun of him and said that he wasn't being humble enough and it was a bad look, those people that scroll through social media, see someone they went to school with 100 followers talking to a camera, show it to their friend and go, who the fuck do they think they are? They have literally 100 followers. Who the fuck are they talking to? All of these people just waiting in the audience for someone to be publicly cringe in some way so that they can make fun of them and make them feel smaller, make themselves feel bigger. To be a know-it-all, to look at cringe as if you are above it, is to deny yourself the freedom of expression without judgment that you would need in order to create your best work. These people who are unpaid haters are really doing themselves the biggest disservice of them all. And now we're entering this era where so many people feel like everyone on social media is becoming a carbon copy of everyone else. Where are the interesting perspectives? I open up my phone and I see the same video from a different person every other fucking swipe. I think people are starting to feel really tired of feeling stifled, of feeling uninspired, of feeling afraid to totally be themselves, to embrace all of their big, messy emotions and share that with other people. There have even been times in my life where I have felt something really big and messy, and I've been like, oh, but I feel like I can't talk about this online because what will people think of me? If I share this part of myself, if I say something this vulnerable, what will people think of me? It's the truth. It's how I feel. This is what I would say to any of my friends. But when it comes to sharing it publicly, there's this fear that enters the conversation because it's like, okay, well, what if someone listens to this and they really fucking judge me harshly for it? They think less of me because of it. Even my most recent video, that was a really vulnerable video for me to post. Number one, because it is like a subject that if someone really wanted to hurt my feelings, they could massage their words and get to me for sure. I'm not above having my feelings hurt. And also just in what I was saying, in how vulnerable it is to share that moving on has been difficult for me, that I am not a girl boss about it and I feel more complicated about it. And I even understand if people might perceive me as being kind of overwhelming or too intense for their liking. I understand all of these things. You know, when I hit post, I'm not blissfully unaware of what people might say in response to what I'm posting. I understand what people might say in response to me, and it's scary. It is scary to hit the post button. People are craving community. What does community require? Vulnerability, authenticity, and honesty. Famously, 3 things the internet has widely deemed as too cringe. People are craving cringe. They want to return to the versions of themselves that made music videos in their fucking basements when they were 13 years old. How fucking freeing it was to get online and do a fucking cover of a Demi Lovato song and belt those fucking notes even though you couldn't hit them for shit, babe. People want to return to the versions of themselves that made something. Anything. Maybe you wrote a collection of poetry. Maybe you made a short film. Maybe you released an EP. You worked for months on this painting. People want to return to the versions of themselves that created something, spent time pouring into something, and took themselves fucking seriously. To be 14, making a YouTube video, acting like it was the most important thing I've ever done. To be 15, preparing to do a Lady Gaga tribute at my school's talent show, knowing that everyone was going to make fun of me, but understanding that I needed to do that for me because it was all I fucking cared about. And I thought it was so cool. And I didn't care that it was going to be fucking weird to everyone else. People want to go back and find this version of themselves that didn't feel like they had to be so polished and perfect all the time. When you're a teenager, it's generally accepted that you don't know fucking anything, and you're allowed to be wrong, and you're allowed to have a take one year and then be a totally different person with a different take the next. And then you get a little older and you feel like you can't do that anymore. You can't change your mind, and you have to be polished, and you have to be this sexy, healed, pitchable version of yourself. There's this fear of someone really seeing you and not liking what they see. There's this fear of being who you are today, changing, and having people be upset at the fact that you're not the same fucking person that you were a year ago when they first stumbled upon you. People want connection. They want to be themselves, and they want to have fucking fun without this looming pressure of being cool all the goddamn time. We feel this way in dating, no longer wanting to perform for people on dates, meeting someone on a dating app, having to nitpick your profile to be the most presentable version of yourself, and then you go on a date and you have to perform. You put on a fucking show in hopes that this person sees the version of you that you're able to present in this handful of hours time span and think to themselves, you know what? Maybe they could be fun to spend a little bit more time with. We feel this way about our interests and our hobbies, always being bullied for having passion and ambition, being lit up about something, really giving a fuck and caring. You know, whether you're bullied for being a movie buff or a Disney adult or whatever the fuck it is, I see your passion and I fucking love it. And don't even get me fucking started on the adults bullying children on the internet for doing get ready with me's at 11 years old. Shut the fuck up. Why are you commenting on a child's videos on social media? Just let them have fun. It's sincerely none of your fucking business. We feel this way creatively, professionally, socially, afraid to be totally ourselves out of fear of rejection from friends and colleagues, afraid of being told we're delusional or out of our minds for having these high hopes and dreams for ourselves, for actually daring to pursue them publicly. I just think that we have reached a breaking point where we need a little bit of cringe. Now more than ever, maybe. No one wants to hang out with someone who has an aversion to cringe anymore, to be too cool for fucking everything. We get it. You are the smartest, coolest, most perfect person in the fucking room. And you're also really fucking boring. So this is my official, formal statement and announcement. Cringe is in. It is so back. And I hope that you will just take this video as a little sign, a push in the right direction, that I think you should do whatever that thing is you've been afraid to do because of other people's perception. Maybe you've been debating signing up for your school's talent show. You've been debating making a YouTube channel. You've been debating learning a new language or taking up a new hobby, maybe learning to play guitar. Whatever it is that you have been afraid to start doing because of other people's judgment, or maybe even because of your own judgment towards yourself. Take this as your sign to charge towards it, okay? Because it's fucking cool to be passionate, to be ambitious, to be earnest, to really give a fuck about something. That is really cool. I love people who are painfully themselves, people who are passionate about something, who have perspective and aren't afraid to take up a little bit of extra space. This video is really just a love letter to weird kids, because I hope you stay weird forever, because it's way more fucking interesting that way. Cringe is in, baby, and don't you ever fucking forget it.
Type my name on your screen. I am back.